Hey everyone, welcome back to Trip Tales. Today's episode is a dream girls trip through northern Italy, plus a quick little bonus stop in Paris on the way home. We're going to be talking Milan, Lake Garda, Verona, the Dolomites, Venice, tons of wine tastings, an absolutely iconic spa hotel stay, and then topping it all off with the sparkling Eiffel Tower at night. Okay, I am so ready for this conversation. Let's head to Europe with my guest, Heather. Welcome, Heather. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I start every episode with a rapid fire get to know you. So tell everyone where you live, what you do, and about your family.
I live in Buffalo, New York. Go Bills. And then I have two kids with my husband. We've been married for 15 years, but together for 20. Our daughter is 14 and our son is 8. And then I own a restaurant, a small diner, a breakfast place in Boston, New York with my mom. It's called Three Girls Cafe.
What's it called?
Three Girls Cafe,
Three Girls Cafe in Boston, New
New
York.
York. Yeah. Outside
Okay,
of
I've never
Buffalo.
heard about
Small.
that town.
No, you never would. It's very little.
Okay. Well, I did go to 1 year of college in Syracuse, New York, which I know isn't Buffalo, but I was in upstate New York. That's so fun. What's your role at the diner?
Well, I've been there since I was 14. That's when we opened. The original three girls were my mom, my aunt, and my grandma. My grandma passed away 10 years ago. My aunt left about 8 years ago. So now I just run pretty much the front of the house, waitress, and we do it together. It's a lot of fun. Work, stressful work, but fun.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What's the best thing on the menu?
Oh, we have one Buffalo's Best Chili, and we have amazing potato pancakes that were my grandma's recipe that are amazing.
So cool. You won Best Chili. That's awesome. Okay. Well, if you guys ever find yourself in Boston, New York, or Buffalo, hop over to Three Girls Cafe. Well, let's get into this trip to Northern Italy, which sounds amazing. And let's start with why you booked this trip or how you got on this group trip in the first place.
So, friends of ours that we've been friends with since middle school own a wine bar in Hamburg, New York called Alchemy. And they have a side venture that they call Winederlust, and it's wine centered trips. They do day trips around here into the Finger Lakes. Where actually my husband and I are going with them for the Niagara on the Lake Ice Wine Festival in a couple weeks. But they have this travel program that they do. They've gone to Spain, they're going to Portugal next year. And then in October last year, they had a Northern Italy trip. And it started out as a couples trip and then it turned into a girls trip. So me and my friend Donnelly shared a room. And then there were other girls within the group that we've all been friends with since middle school that were all going, plus other people that we knew through them. So there were 22 people total. And of that, 14 of us knew each other before going. And in April of last year, my girlfriend Donnelly texted and was like, "Want to go to Italy? There's one room and I need a roommate." And within like 10 minutes, we had okays from our husbands, my mom at the restaurant, and we were booking the trip.
That is so exciting. So the entire trip was run by this Winderlust tour company,
Yes.
correct?
Yes. My
Okay.
friend Nicole booked the entire trip on her own for
And what
22
a
people.
wow. And what a dream for you to show up and be like, I'll be there. I'll just show
Yep.
up and everything's done for me.
Yes, that was exactly what I wanted. It was our most of our first European vacations. So we wanted something that was already pretty much planned for us. All we had to do, like you said, was show up and be there on time. And it worked out pretty smoothly overall.
Awesome. And so when did you go and how long was the trip?
We left Buffalo on October 8th. And then with our stop in Paris, we returned home the 2 Sundays later, the 18th.
So I think in these notes it says you were gone for 12 days about.
Yes. Wednesday, we left around 4 o'clock and we got into JFK. And then we used friends of ours, Amex status points or whatever, to go into the lounge there, where we spent the entire night drinking espresso martinis in the 1855 speakeasy in the Amex lounge before we boarded the Emirates flight.
Oh my gosh, so bougie. That is so nice that someone gifted you that.
They got two people in for free. So there was two people with a credit cards and they got two in for free and then everyone else just had to pay $50. But it included a full buffet and then all the drinks were included at the bar. So it was well worth the $50.
Were these people on the trip that gifted it?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Of that 14, like 8 of us are very close, and that was like the group that went in.
Okay,
Actually,
awesome.
maybe
And are
10.
these like family friends, college friends, high school friends, or just kind of a mix?
Mostly since middle school, also high school, and then there's some people that have married in that are now in the group. There was a very big family group that went, and Katie's husband was also there. So it was definitely a big family and then friends intermixed.
So there were some men on this trip. I got it wrong when I said a
Yes.
girls' trip.
Well,
Okay.
yes, there were only 8 guys in the 22 total.
So it's a mixture.
Yes.
We are going to France this summer and we're flying out of JFK. And so you're getting me excited because I have a Capital One Venture X card and an Amex card. So I've never been in a lounge, which I feel like I should have been by now if I'm running a travel podcast. But I'm so excited to like live the lounge life this summer.
Well, for sure. Get there early and put your name on the list as soon as you can because there is a wait sometimes.
Okay,
We all
got
went
it.
into the Amex lounge because I have Capital One and Chase, and they both had an hour plus wait, and we didn't have that much time.
Okay, so don't like bank on it. Definitely make a plan once I get there.
Yes. There is a way to do online reservations, but we didn't know until we were there, so we didn't try it.
Okay, good to know. I'll be looking into that. My biggest question is with 22 friends and family, did everyone get along for 12 days across Europe?
Yes. So of the
Amazing.
22, there were 8 people that we didn't actually know. So there were 2 sets of 2 couples, and the older set of couples we nicknamed the adults, even though like we're all adults, but they were the oldest ones and they definitely acted like adults the entire time. Um, and then the other 2 couples were in their early 30s with no kids, but had just recently gotten married. And by the end of the trip, we were all swapping, home addresses to send Christmas cards to. Like we're all BFFs for life now after the trip. So
Oh,
yes,
I love
everyone
it.
got along. There was no like fights or animosity. Well, there was a little bit of fighting within that family dynamic, but it wasn't anything that made anything awkward or weird for anyone else.
Yeah. I mean, traveling with your family, even for like a long weekend, can provide some opportunity to get
Yes.
into it. So,
Yes.
um,
Especially when we're drinking all day. I mean,
yeah.
all day. Wineries at 10 o'clock in the morning to uh monkey gin martinis at night.
What's a monkey gin martini?
It was something that we drank in Venice that was monkey gin, and now everyone is obsessed with it. Monkey gin everywhere.
Is that a brand?
Think it might be. I
You're
don't
like, I
know.
don't
It
know.
was
I was like deep
delicious.
into the wine and the
Yeah.
gin at that point.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we talk about flying there, let's tell everyone exactly where your group is headed in northern Italy. So I'm going to pull up a map here. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see it. Just so everybody knows, this is northern Italy. So we're looking at a map and we're looking at the big boot, of Italy. And we are way north, like almost to Switzerland and Austria and that area. So in your journey, you're hitting up Milan. I don't know how to say this one. Sirmione,
I think it was Sirmione.
which is on Lake Garda, Verona, Trento, Brixen, Selva, Venice, and then you guys ended in Paris, which is super fun. So that's kind of the journey that we're going on. So let's talk about getting there. You kind of touched on this a bit that you were already in the lounges, but how did you get to Italy?
So we left at 4 o'clock in Buffalo and flew to JFK. And then we spent the whole evening in the lounge, eating dinner, having drinks, catching up with everyone. And then we went to the Emirates desk to check in. So 5 of them had business class seats, but the rest of us were in coach that were flying on the Emirates flight. And when we checked in, I very, very nicely asked the Emirates lady if there was any chance of an upgrade because we were flying overnight. And I said, all of our friends are going to be very well rested in business class. Is there anything that you can do for us? An open middle seat or anything just so we have a little bit more space? So she upgraded us to a bulkhead row. So we had plenty of space in front of our feet to put our bags down. We were lounging. It was very nice. So thank you for the Emirates check in lady because she was great. We were served dinner, which was okay. And then we all pretty much fell asleep. We weren't even served breakfast. We slept through all of that. And then when we woke up, it was 12:30 in Milan. We met at 12:30, and then there were other people that had already flown in and spent the day before in Milan. And there were people coming in on other flights that we all just kind of hung around and waited for. And then we left the airport in Milan on a bus. So the whole trip, except for in Venice, we spent on a bus with our driver, Dushko. Dushko was from, I think, Slovenia. And he was super great. He had an espresso machine right in the bus that he gave us espressos every morning. Right as soon as we got off the plane, he was ready for us. And then we just waited for everyone to land and get situated with the luggage and go through customs, which was very, very easy, actually, shockingly easy. And then we boarded the bus and we went to our first hotel, which was Hotel Flaminia on Lake Garda. So Lake Garda is the largest lake in all of Europe, we found out, and it was stunning. Mountains around us. We did have to park on the bus about a 10-minute walk away, which when everyone says to bring one suitcase to Europe, they 100% mean it. We learned the very hard way that having too much luggage between all of us was a huge downfall. So we parked a little whiles away and then we walked up and around. And the picture that Kelsey pulled up on her screen to the left of like the square of the fort is where you actually walk under the bridge and then you walk into the old town. And then we walk to our hotel, which was right on the water.
You guys, I need to explain what we're looking at right now because it doesn't even look real. So, Milan was just where you guys landed, but then you went straight to this little like peninsula island Italian village. It's surrounded by water. It truly is indescribable. So, I had never heard of this town before, Sirmione. I'm going to read a description. I just like searched what is Sirmione on Lake Garda, and I'm just going to read you what the internet has to say. Sirmione is a tiny storybook resort town in northern Italy that sits on a skinny peninsula stretching right into Lake Garda. It's the kind of place where you walk cobblestone streets past gelato shops and little cafes, then suddenly you're standing in front of a real medieval castle. Add in ancient Roman ruins and nonstop lake views with beaches and boat rides, and you'll get why people say Sirmione feels straight up magical. Okay, so you're walking in, you're pulling your luggage. It literally, there's like a medieval castle with like walls surrounding it
Yes.
but
Yep.
there's
We
water.
walk right through the wall to the castle to get into the village.
So what are you thinking? Like, what are your first impressions as you're arriving?
We were all honestly completely blown away. Every single minute of every day of the trip, it was just beautiful. Everything was stunning. We kept giving Nicole, the ringleader of our trip, every time we did anything, we would say 10 out of 10, Nikki, 10 out of 10, because everything was just top notch. Our accommodations, everything. I mean, this was our first stop and we were already blown away.
Right. So let's talk about this hotel. So you arrive in Sirmione, you're staying at the Hotel Flaminia. It's also on the water. It looks amazing. I pulled up another photo of kind of just like this hotel that has like a sun deck on the back and dining on the back. So tell us about the hotel.
The first night, there were four of us in a junior suite, and that was beautiful. It had a balcony right on the water. And then we all pretty much just got settled in for the night, and then we changed. And then we had our welcome dinner where everyone got to meet each other, really for the first time and not just on the bus, on one of those outside terraces with wine and pizza and prosecco, and they had served Aperol spritzes. I don't drink those, so I didn't take those. I like
I don't
prosecco.
love Aperol either.
No,
I
it's
don't
too
love the
bitter
flavor
for
of
me.
Aperol. Yeah.
No.
Okay, that's okay. Prosecco will do. When it comes to food and drink on this trip, what's covered for you guys? Every single meal, all the alcohol, like what is covered for you?
Certain things were covered. So the welcome dinner was covered. When we moved to different hotels, breakfasts were included or just a small fee for breakfast. The wine tastings often served food. And then when we had to stop at gas stations, we picked up snacks there. And the spa resort was all inclusive. Some meals were on our own and some were included.
Okay, got it. So, how many nights did you stay in this adorable village?
We were here for 2 nights. The first day, we just did the welcome dinner. And then we started the next day immediately with wine tastings. So the next day, we all got up and we had breakfast downstairs and we got on the bus. Well, first, we had to walk our 10-minute walk back outside. And the description you said is completely accurate: gelato, cafes, everything. little piazzas everywhere. The first night after we went to the welcome dinner, we actually all went out and had more drinks and really just soaked up the town the first day. So the second morning, we got up and we had breakfast, and then we went to our first wine tasting, which is Cai dei Frati, which was beautiful. The wineries in Italy were stunning. All of them do organic without having to say that they're organic. There's no pesticides, there's no chemicals. It's just completely natural ingredients, and you can taste that in the food and in the wine. It's amazing. So that first tasting, they produce millions of bottles of wine per year, and the production was intense. Everything is automated. The grapes are all picked by hand at the wineries that we went to. And this first winery, they machine pressed the grapes, and then everything was automated, from the bottling to the corking to the labeling, everything. They also served us a spread of meats and cheeses, and then we tasted 7 wines from there that first day, whites and reds, and then a sparkling.
Amazing. Do you prefer white, red, or sparkling, or are you like cool with all of them?
I do not like red wine. I often would take a sip of the red wine, but would share the rest of my glass with everyone else. I love white, and I definitely love sparkling. I was in my glory at the end of the trip when all they had was Prosecco at the last winery, which no one else really liked, but I was ready because the winery before that had been nothing but red.
Amazing. And then did people buy bottles? I mean, I've been to wineries in Napa, Sonoma, looking forward to going to some in France this summer. And it's like, even if you don't plan on buying anything after a couple tastings, you're like, sure. So, how did that work if people wanted to buy and then you're like all the way over in Italy?
So, yes, we bought wine. It was very generous that the owners gifted us a lot of wine. The wineries that we went to are wineries that the bar Alchemy already buys from. So it was already places that Nicole and Anne had connections with the owners and everything. So with that, we tried to buy wine, and often they would just gift us whatever we wanted. But
That's
at the
incredible.
Yes. The first winery, some people bought and some people were gifted because we felt, awkward just taking everything. But pretty much throughout the trip, everything was gifted to us overall.
Wow. And so if they're gifting you some things, you love the certain kind, and I get it. Like they've got a business relationship. These people are buying tons of wine from them all the time. So they're probably trying to say thank you. But how did you guys get it home?
So at this first winery, Cai dei Frati, they also had olive oil. So here we shipped bottles of wine and olive oil home
Awesome.
direct from the winery.
Cool.
And everywhere else, nothing made it home because we ended up drinking it in the bus, in the hotel rooms as we went. I mean, we had bus wine, we had room wine, we had lots of wine.
Oh my gosh, this is my kind of trip. Okay. Aside from the winery, what else did you guys do in Sirmione?
So after we did that first wine tasting, we went to lunch at Alchemy Winery. So first we went to lunch at their restaurant, which is just outside of town, and then we went to the winery itself. And that was my favorite winery by far. The owner's name was Lisa, and we felt like truly like family when we were at her winery. They showed us all of the things that they're doing. They're crossbreeding vines to prevent against disease and pest control. Then they brought us to like this gorgeous room that was just filled with wine barrels and a gigantic hanging piece of art, which was like huge grapes on the wall. And then at the end, she told us she had a special surprise. And we all went to this elevator that looked like it was 200 years old. It was crazy looking. We all went up in an elevator, and when the doors opened, the room was completely black, and the wall in front of us was an illuminated wine bottle wall of like small circles. There is a picture. Yes,
Yeah, you
this.
sent me a picture.
Yeah, so on the elevators on the opposite side of that glowing wall, and that was our first impression. And she told us that they don't bring everyone in here. It was only lit by candlelight and like a little light on the side. It was so intimate and so special.
That's amazing. So you guys, this place is called, I'm going to spell it Anselmi Winery. It's outside Sirmione in Verona. Okay, what's happening in this room? Are you guys tasting in this room? Are you just seeing it because it's a special room? Like, what are you guys doing in here?
We're just seeing it because it's a special room. And she's showing us old bottles that were, so she is, I think, fourth generation owner now. So she showed us bottles that her father and her grandfather had produced from 100 years ago that were still drinkable and crazy. She said that they test certain bottles every few years just to make sure that they stay the same and keep their acidity levels down. So after we left this room, then we went to more tastings, which we had tastings at dinner and with their home cooked food that they made us. And then we had more wine here.
I have a question about this one photo from Sirmione you sent me, which is like the medieval castle.
Oh, yes.
So did you guys like explore this at all? Or was this just kind of like when you're walking around the village, this is just like surrounding you?
No, this is just surrounding us. We didn't really explore it. It wasn't open at night when we were there, but we walked across the bridge and the castle is what is surrounding the city. The city is basically inside the walls of the castle.
It is so cool, you guys. It's like on the water, but then it's legit a real medieval castle where it feels like back in the day you wouldn't be able to enter unless like the castle guards let you in because it's so monstrous and like surrounds the city, the walls, like to keep it safe. But now it's just like this beautiful backdrop and there's boats and flowers and it really truly just looks like a movie set.
Yes, it was stunning. Everywhere that you walked in there, it was just tiny cobblestone roads, and there were only cars allowed in to transport like food and beverage, no public cars at all.
Which is why you guys had to roll your luggage in.
Yes.
And just so you guys know, we will share like the order of her itinerary, the cities, the wineries in the show notes because I know this is like a lot of Italian words and hard to keep up with, but just in case you want to hit up any of these wineries, like we'll put them in the show notes. Okay, so I'm sure it was hard to say goodbye to this amazing village, but you end up in Verona for the night. Are you just stopping through here or are you spending the night in Verona?
No, we just went for just free time. We all barely made Juliet's balcony. We got off the bus, crossed the river, and right into Verona, walked right up to the balcony, saw that.
Juliet's balcony. Is this, tell me what this is.
So that's Juliet's balcony from Romeo and Juliet, written by William Shakespeare. So if this is inside of a courtyard. You walk down the cobblestone street and through a little alleyway, and then this is what you are opened up to. There is a statue of Juliet underneath the balcony. It was very crowded. It was the last showing, I think, is at 6:45, so it was pretty late.
What do you mean the last showing?
Well, they closed the gates into Juliet's balcony at 7. So the last entry is at 6:45. So everyone's entering then to get the last glimpse of it.
And this is in Verona, Italy.
Yes.
And I have a really dumb question because I feel like I thought I knew this, but now I don't. Was Romeo and Juliet based on a true story?
I honestly don't know the answer to that. We just went to Juliet's balcony.
Because it's like famous.
Yes.
Wait, I have to look this up really quick.
I should know. I studied Shakespeare in college, but
Okay,
that was a long time.
no. It's not a true story, a fictional tragedy written by Shakespeare. Okay, but then I need to look up what is Juliet's balcony in Verona. Sorry, I just have to know. Juliet's balcony in Verona is a major tourist attraction located at the Casa de Giuliette, Juliet's house, a 13th century building once owned by the Del Capello family, linked to the Capulet name in the Shakespeare play. Though Juliet was fictional and the famous balcony was actually added in the 1930s for tourisms, tourists flocked to this site to see the balcony, touch the bronze statue of Juliet for luck in love. Okay, so this is just a for fun thing to see. Like Juliet wasn't real. This is not actually Juliet's balcony. It was added because of the famous play. Okay, interesting. I just needed to know what was happening there.
I think most people would recognize it from the movie Letters to Juliet with Amanda Seyfried. She is a That is a movie that they put letters to Juliet in the wall, and then women write answers back to people in the movie.
Perfect. Okay, we've covered off on Juliet's balcony. You listed one of your favorite food items was in Verona, a veggie lasagna. Tell us about this.
Yes. So that was at Osteria Sgarzarie. I'm going to butcher the name. It's spelled Sgarzarie. And everyone ordered different foods, and not everyone was happy with their food except for that vegetable lasagna. I would go back to Italy just to eat that meal. Everyone had a bite. Everyone agreed that it was delicious. It was just so good. The lasagna noodles were so thin. It was weirdly the most layered lasagna I've ever eaten, but like the thinnest piece of lasagna I've ever eaten at the same time. But it was delicious. It was covered in a white sauce, and it was divine. It was so good.
That sounds amazing. And I feel like that's what's so awesome about just wandering through Italy is just happening upon places that have this insane food that's like homemade pasta noodles. And I know you said not everybody was thrilled with what they ordered, but that is the fun of walking around Italy and being like, oh, I just happened upon the best veggie lasagna I've ever had in my life.
Everyone found different places or found places together throughout the entire trip, and there was not one bad restaurant.
So for some of these meals, are you guys having free time to wander and find your own way and you're not always eating as a group?
Yes. So this was a free night. So that adult group that I mentioned, they went off on their own and they did their own thing. And then there was a bigger group of us that first we started with drinks together, and then we separated off, and then half of us had dinner at one place and half had dinner at another place. That was one thing that was challenging in Italy, was finding tables for large groups of people. That was difficult. And we were all under the assumption that dinner would be later because that's usually the tradition in Italy. However, in the smaller, quieter places that we were in, especially later in the trip, there were very limited options for a late night dinner. And I'm not talking late. This is at like 7:30, 8 o'clock, where we thought it would be easy to find places to eat. That was sometimes challenging.
Got it. Good to know for large groups. Okay, so you have finished in Verona, and where are you headed next on your bus?
So we head back to the hotel in Sirmione for the night. And then the next day we go to the Nicolis wine tasting. That was also beautiful. Also another stunning winery. They had persimmon trees outside that were dropping their fruits that we had never really seen before. They served us a delicious lunch. We also tried tons of wines. We spent way too long there. And then from there, we moved to one of my favorite activities, which was the pasta making class.
Fun.
Yes. So we started off on the wrong foot with the family of the pasta making class. We were running late from the winery. And then
You're
Dushko, the
like,
bus
sorry, we've
driver.
been drinking all day.
Yes. And we had the owners of the winery call them to tell them that we were running late. And then we ran another hour late because the bus driver got lost. But
Shoot.
back to that bus wine, we at the back of the bus had no idea that we were lost because we were just drinking bus wine from the winery that we had just visited.
Bus wine. Did you guys
Yes.
have like corkscrews to open the
Oh, yes.
bottles?
Yes. Yes. That was
And like travel
an
cups?
immediate purchase. And some of us had cups, but those espresso machine cups that Jusco had came in real handy. Then we would get smarter and we would come back with more cups. We went through a lot of cups on the
Amazing.
bus.
Amazing. Okay, so where is the pasta making class? Like what city or what's the company or family? Like where are you trying to get to?
So in that day, we were traveling from Sirmione to Trento. So we're moving like still north. The class was taught. I don't have even their names, honestly. It was just literally their home. They lived in the upstairs, and they taught the pasta making class in the basement of the home that had been converted into a cooking studio. There is like a website that Nicole used that's like Nona's Cooking, and I don't know how you say it. It's CESARINE.com. I can't even imagine how you pronounce that. But we started off on definitely the wrong foot with them. The husband of the woman teaching the class was very unimpressed that we were late and assumed that we were going to be extremely drunk from leaving the winery. However, that was not the case. We were truly just very, very late. And then things shifted when they realized that we weren't just going to be a sloppy mess in this class. So first we made Italian meatballs, but they weren't with ground beef. It was made with like prosciutto and tons of cheese, almost no breadcrumbs. So we made those first. And then while those cooked, we made the pasta by hand with the egg yolks and the flour. And then they made it into, we all did it together and worked as a pair to make the pasta. And then we cut the pasta and we made raviolis, and they taught us how to make tortellini, and we did all sorts of weird shapes, and then they cooked it all for us. And then that meal was my second favorite meal. The pasta was so fresh, and they put a balsamic glaze over the pasta before they put the tomato sauce that was also completely fresh sauce over the pasta, and it was delicious. It was so good. We were supposed to make a third thing, and because we ran out of time, we didn't make the third thing.
The husband
We
is
only
like, you
made
have
those.
one consequence.
Right. Yes, yes. He's like, you don't have time for this. So
Yeah.
yes.
I'm going to share a picture of Trento where you guys are like traveling to, because it's another beautiful Italian village with like mountains in the background. Were you somewhere within here in the cooking class, or were you kind of out of this area?
No, we were more like up in the mountains, like
Okay,
up in
cool.
the hills outside of Trento.
Very
We
cool.
could see Trento from where we were.
All these villages are just so cool.
Yes. Trento was a hidden gem too. We thought that we were just going to be there for, sleeping. That was just a one night stop. And we stayed at the Hotel America. And when we arrived at the hotel, we all were starving after the pasta class and more bus wine. And we stumbled upon a gin festival in the middle of town. And that was where, oh no, the monkey gin started in Verona, but they also had monkey gin at the gin festival. And then we all just continued to drink gin. And that was really fun. Being with the locals and like really experiencing like a small town culture, that was fun. An unexpected surprise for sure.
Fun. I know. I love stumbling upon like stuff that's happening locally with the locals. I did look up monkey gin for fun, and it's actually a German gin. You'd think it'd be Italian, with how much
Oh,
you guys are stumbling upon it, but maybe it's just
yes.
like very popular in Europe.
Yes. Well, when we were in Brixen, we were only like 20 miles from the Austrian border. So I could see how that tracks.
Yeah, true. Okay, so you stay at Hotel America. How was the hotel? Was everything good there?
Yes, every hotel was beautiful. Every room was different. Here we had another balcony overlooking a courtyard. The rooms were very standard, single beds or like the single beds pushed together. We had no problem sleeping or any of the arrangements at any point. One thing that is something to note when you're in Europe, or at least at every hotel that we were at, is there's no shower door. Everything is clear glass. So there was lots of nakedness in front of all the girls all trip.
But you've had enough wine that you're like, whatever, I'm
Yep.
showering.
Yes.
Amazing. Okay, so you have your one night at Hotel America in Trento, and then you get up the next morning, and where are you headed next?
So we wake up in the morning and we have another delicious European breakfast, lots of croissants and breads and more meats and cheeses, which at this point everyone is dying for a salad or something green in our diets. So here we go to another winery, the J. Hofstadter Winery, which was more of the German influence than all the other wineries had been. So here, now that we're much more north than we had started, there's a definite shift in the architecture and the landscape. It's much more like German and Austrian looking and more mountainy. So here we had a delicious wine tasting. This one was the one that was almost all red, so I barely partook. And then after this, we went to probably everyone's favorite part of the trip, which is the My Arbor Spa Resort, which was another surprise for everyone that didn't really know what to expect. This is one of the best resorts I've ever been to. Everything was included. The spa treatments were extra, but there were saunas and plunge pools and little cabins that you could rent and just sit outside and be with nature. Getting to here was very difficult. Lots of switchbacks up the mountains in a bus. Luckily, we had Dramamine and motion sickness pills to pass out. Everyone was sharing what medications they had because people were starting to get a little bit bus sick. So we arrive at the hotel, and the hotel is in the trees. Your rooms are as tall as the trees surrounding it, and you're overlooking the entire valley below you. It was amazing.
I'm sharing a picture, you guys. I actually have like a lot of pictures to share of this because I was like, I couldn't stop looking at all the Google images. So we're in Brixen, Brixen, and the hotel is called My Arbor, Arbor, which arbor I think means tree, which would make sense. Um, and it's literally looks like this modern tree house up within the trees, and it overlooks the mountains, which I'll share a picture of in a minute, and it's very spa focused, so there's like little pools, and it just looks like a complete dream retreat type place. Did you guys get spa treatments here?
Yes. So in typical Alchemy Winederlust fashion, we were late getting to the hotel. So some of the first spa treatments were delayed, but yes, I had two massages. And then this is a picture that Kelsey is sharing. The pool at the very front is the cold plunge pool. And then the larger one up on top, that is the hot tub. It's was gigantic. Those windows that you see are part of the spa where the services are performed. It was so nice.
This looks incredible. Like, you guys do need to look up My Arbor in Brixen, Italy. Like, who would have known? How many nights did you get to stay here?
We stayed here 3 nights.
Okay, good.
Yes. We all needed this decompression and break for sure.
Yeah, this looks absolutely incredible. Very relaxing. So, are you just kind of chilling here the whole time, or are you off doing excursions and wine tastings as well? Like, what are you doing while on your 3 nights here?
This was more of a of choose what you like adventure at this point. So the first day we arrived, we had spa treatments, and then the dinner was included, which they had a beautiful salad bar that did not stand a chance when we were there. So
Yeah.
everyone, and we were in a separate room for dinner. We were in a room, all 22 of us at two long tables. We had dedicated servers all every night that we were there. The dinners were incredible, like 5 star. So the first morning, there was an optional hike through the Dolomites, which I did. So we did the Tracy May Loop, which is up in the Dolomites. And we started at the Refugio Lavandero, I think you say. And you start at these basically like a bed and breakfast, but in the mountains. And they have food, the very delicious food. And then you hike the loop, and then there's other refugios that you can stop at that have more food and more drinks. And then you do the whole loop and you end back where you started.
Amazing. I'm going to share a photo just of Brixen too. Like, this is kind of the downtown area. And so you can see or downtown, like village. Um, in the distance, there's just the rolling hills, mountains, Dolomites. I would have totally gone on a hike as well. And how cool that there's like food on each side. That's kind of rare for a hike.
Yes. So we went the weekend of Columbus Day weekend, and that was the last weekend that those refugios would be open. So they were selling out of all the food, they were selling all their beers, and they were packing up to be done for the season as well.
Okay, got it. And then people who didn't want to hike, what were they doing?
They could have gone into town, into Brixen. The adults went into Brixen and explored the city. Other people had spa treatments. For the most part, it was our younger group of friends that went on the
I
hike.
love how you keep calling the older group of people the adults. Like, you guys aren't
Yes.
adults.
Well, at one point on the trip in the morning in Trento was really when everyone was starting to feel a little bit like sluggish. And I will say, no one was hungover. No one ever got sick on this trip. Like none of that happened. We all held ourselves together. But that morning when we were a little slow, one of the younger couple's wife, she was like, "You guys are parents?" And we were like, Yes, we can let loose and have a good time too. We have no kids and no husbands here. Like, we're only responsible for ourselves. Yes, we're having a great time.
Yeah, I love it. You guys are parents?
Yes.
Um, you're like, mom's got to let loose every once in a while. Okay, so Brixen, we have the beautiful hotel with the spa and the pools and the services. We have a hike. Anything else that you did in Brixen that you want to mention?
So the next day was another optional boat ride to Lago de Brise. That was stunning. Green, turquoise, blue water in the middle of the mountains. They had rowboats there that you could rent and then row around the lake. And there was a stunning hotel that you could like check out and walk around. So some of us did that. And then other people again just stayed at the resort and had Morse treatments or just lounged in bed and hung out.
Wow. Okay, cool.
If you can look it up, you should.
Lago de Brise. Oh my gosh. Okay, beautiful. Was it that pretty?
Yes.
You guys, it's turquoise blue water surrounded by mountains. Kind of reminds me of like a Lake Louise situation up in Canada that a lot of people travel to. But so you can take little rowboats out and spend some time on the water.
Yeah. And you could
Amazing.
also hike around the lake. Some people did a little bit of hiking, but most people just went for lunch and did the boat ride.
Awesome.
And we really loved my arbor. There were lots of gathering places outside the hotel. We really became friends with the serving staff, and we ended every night there just hanging out, having drinks and catching up. It was delightful.
So then where are you guys off to next?
So now we move to Selva and we go to the Linder Cycling Hotel, which is famous for bicycling and mountain biking around that town, which was incredible. So that was another optional activity day. So some people left immediately when we arrived at the hotel to do a electric mountain bike tour where they took the bikes up in chairlifts and they rode down the mountain and then back to the hotel.
That's cool.
Yes, I was supposed to have carpal tunnel surgery right before we left, so I opted out. I didn't end up having the surgery, but I still did not do the bike ride. But the pictures they took were amazing.
Yeah, I'm not much of a mountain biker, or maybe I should say I'm not a mountain biker, but if it was electric, I could be convinced knowing that if I got tired, there would still be like a way out for me.
Yes, I will say that the ride went very well until the last probably 10 minutes when they came back through town and there was a crash and one of the girls slightly fractured her arm on the bike ride.
Oh, ow, shoot.
Yes. Yes. Which was not great for the rest of the trip, but she was a trooper. So,
Yeah, maybe I'll stick with not being a mountain biker. I
yes.
am sharing a photo of Selva, which is another gorgeous Italian town, lots of rolling hills and the Dolomites behind the village, just absolutely beautiful. Now I'm going to share a photo of the hotel. So the hotel was called the Linder Cycling Hotel. So I'm guessing biking around this area is very popular.
Yes. They even had like an older 10-speed bike on display in the lobby of the hotel. So this is the back of the hotel looking out at the mountains, but right off the railing is actually like the bike path, like right to the hotel.
Oh, cool. That actually reminds me of, have you seen that movie Luca? That animated movie in Italy?
Yes.
And they like bike a lot and through the villages. And I don't know why that made me think of this, but I feel like this reminds me of those bike paths through Italian villages.
Yes. This pretty much the entire town is situated for biking. It's famous for that. And actually as I had mentioned earlier how we had trouble finding places to eat, this town had already pretty much completely shut down from October till December, which is their off time from the biking season to the ski and snowboarding season.
Okay, so you can ski here as well.
Yes, but we had very limited food options and really sightseeing options because most of the city was closed.
Okay, got it. This is a picture just from their website of the sun deck overlooking the Dolomites. This is just insane.
Yes, they also had a spa at this hotel too. While everyone was doing the bike ride, I was having more spot treatments and hanging out in the pool.
Was the pool overlooking all of this?
The pool is directly underneath this deck, so you can see like the town. And the
Okay.
pool had a mirror on the ceiling, so it felt like the whole room was a pool. It was unique.
Okay, cool. Was the Dolomites as amazing as it seems? Because I've never been there, but I do a hike through it on the Peloton tread where you can like pick where you're going and someone wore a GoPro and it looks freaking amazing.
Is amazing. Like everywhere you turn, there's new things to see and another peak to look at. And it is just incredible. And one thing that I wouldn't have expected, I'm very into grounding and like putting your feet like on the ground and in the water where you are. And the rocks on the top of the mountain, even though we had the most beautiful weather, we were so lucky. It was very clear that every day that we were there, every single day, the weather looked like this the entire trip to Italy. We had never, didn't have any rain or anything. It was perfect. And so we all took off our shoes and put our feet on the rocks, and the rocks were ice cold, like freezing cold. We like an ice cube. We did not expect that. Then I made everyone try grounding and really put their feet on the earth. Because when else are you going to be in the Dolomites at the top of the world?
You just explaining that literally just gave me energy. Like my body felt it. I totally love that too. If I'm ever like outside of my kid's soccer game or whatever, I like always take my shoes off and like put my feet in the grass and on the ground. I totally believe in that. And I'm sharing a picture of the Dolomites that this is your picture, right?
Yes. So this
Yeah.
is a photo looking back from the hike, looking back at that first refugio. So the upstairs of that is like Airbnb type rooms, and then the downstairs is a full restaurant and like where you could get information about the area. They served wine and beer and all sorts of delicious things.
My gosh. And it's like a bluebird day, like she's talking about. So just perfect blue sky, not a cloud in the sky, beautiful mountains. I also love, like, I feel like in America, a lot of the hiking is centered around obviously the national parks and the state parks, and they are lovely, but it's not like they're like, and here's your wine tasting. So I'm like, maybe I need to go to the Dolomites because look, you get this mix of these luxury spa hotels, outdoor hiking, grounding, and then you can go back and have like a wine tasting and jump in your mineral pool.
Yes. That was Nicole's goal of the trip was like epic views, epic adventures, and epic places to stay.
I think she nailed it.
Yes, for sure. Again, 10 out of 10.
Okay, so Dolomites and Selva looks absolutely amazing. I'll have to see it in real life and not just on my Peloton. And then is your last stop Venice?
Yes. So we leave the Linder Cycling Hotel and we go to the last winery of our winery tours, which was the Prosecco winery, which was Le Comtesse. And that one is more popular. I think that people would recognize the bottles and see the bottles in the store. That was all Prosecco. Again, a beautiful lunch that was served, another third generation winery owner. This was Francesca was our guide and her son cooked us our meal and we hung out there for the afternoon and then we took the bus to Venice where Venice turned into a little bit more of that chaotic European adventure that you would think when you think of Italy.
Well, Venice is kind of chaotic, and I think I've been once or twice, and it's hard to get around. Maps don't work. There's not really real streets. I always get lost in Venice, which is fun. It's like, who cares? But when you're
Yes.
with 22 people, that sounds a little bit harder.
Yes. So when we arrived, we said goodbye to Dushko, the bus driver, and we got on a water taxi and we went to the NH Collection Hotel in Venice, which was actually the wrong hotel. We were actually staying at the NH Collection Hotel in Murano, which is another island next to Venice. So we all had to water taxi from the first hotel to the right hotel and that put us there pretty late. That delayed us quite a bit. But we all had dinner and we settled in. And that was another night that some people either just stayed in or a few people went into Venice for a little bit of the nightlife, which I don't think they actually found.
I could see Venice being sleepy at night.
Yes. This was our last full night being out because the next night had a very early wake up the next morning for everyone to start flying home. So this was almost our like last hurrah kind of night, which is
Yeah,
why they went into Venice.
Yeah, you guys had, I mean, seeing Venice is amazing. You got to be on the water taxis, amazing. But people are probably like a little tired. You've had a lot of wonderful food and wine. So you're like, okay, some of us just want to sleep, especially since you like got in so late. Could you all fit in one water taxi, all 22 of you, or did you have to split
No.
up?
The maximum I think was 8 people. We did 2 7 and 1 8, I think.
So that is chaotic. You go to the wrong place, and then
Yeah.
all of these water taxis have to go to another place.
Yes. Luckily, the hotel staff was super great and they set us up with the water taxis, and that was more seamless than we thought it was going to be. But just a little hiccup in the plans.
Yeah. Were you on the like gondolas or like a traditional water taxi for this?
No, more of a traditional water taxi. Although there's so many different boats in Venice that it could have we took a lot of different things because they also have the Vaporetti, which is like a taxi service, like a bus service, and it takes like like a subway stop. You all go to the stop and then you go to different stops. We utilized that the next day. That was very easy and nice.
Was that on water or on land?
Also on water. Everything is on water.
Yeah. Okay. What did you and your roommate do this night? Just settle in and go to bed?
I stayed back and hung out and had wine, and my roommate did. She was one of the ones that went into Venice.
Okay. So you guys just choose your own adventure that night. And then what did you do this last day in Venice before headed to your layover in Paris?
So the last day in Venice, we walked from the hotel to the original Murano glass museum, and where we had a private glass blowing demonstration where a master blower created a stunning art piece all in front of us. It was amazing.
Cool.
Yeah, we were all completely like, right up in front of him to do the glass blowing. We are a little spoiled. So actually they call it OMG, the original Murano glass. They partner with the Corning Museum of Glass, which isn't far from Buffalo. So we have a little bit of a tie to them already, which no one knew when we went. And I've been to the Corning Museum of Glass several times. So it was fun to see like another partnership because the Murano Glass Company is where they originated from.
Okay. Awesome. Anything else in Venice before we head back?
Yep. So then we took the Vaporetti over to Venice and we went to San Marco Square, which is where that picture that you just showed was from. That is, where everyone goes to in Venice is San Marco Square. And that's where the gondolas are. And we saw the Grand Canal and just kind of wandered those crazy alleyways and explored. And then we made our way back for our last dinner and our last late night going to sleep because we had a very early morning wake up the next day to fly to Paris.
And before we fly to Paris, you had said in your notes that you were surprised by how good some gas station food was.
Yes.
So let's check that box before we head to Paris.
Yes. So being on a bus with 22 people definitely has a little bit of bathroom issues. The bus did not have a bathroom, so we had to stop. But
The bus did not have a bathroom?
no, it was broken. Dushko did
Oh my
not
gosh.
provide on that. So that was a little bit of a hiccup too, but it wasn't too bad. So because we had to stop, all these gas stations that we stopped at had amazing food. I sent you a picture of one and it's like the best deli food that you've ever had. Everything is so fresh, everything is mozzarella and basil and tomatoes and breads. It was so good. And they also had very cheap wine for our bus wine. So we would stop, get snacks, stock up, grab some cups, bathroom breaks. Everyone do a little espresso or a cappuccino to like get some energy, and then we would be back on the road.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Good for people to know. If you need a quick bathroom break or a stop, that check out the gas station food.
Yes.
Okay, so now people are headed back. It's probably everybody's got their own way back, but you and your roommate and best friend finagled a 24-hour layover in Paris. So tell us about how this worked.
So when we were booking the trip, I was like, we have to do something else. We're already in Europe. We can't just go to Italy and come home. In my perfect world, we would have spent longer in Paris and gone to Disneyland Paris because I'm a Disney lover. But she didn't have time off of work. So we just did one day. So it was $11 more to fly from Venice to Paris to JFK than it was to fly from Venice to JFK. So
I mean,
for
yeah, no
$22
brainer.
a person, we did a long layover and I booked our hotel room on credit card points. So that was free. So we got up very early in the morning. We took a water taxi from the hotel right to the airport. The water taxi, the boat drops you off right into the airport, right at the dock. And then you walk right inside. That part was crazy. And then we hung out in the Venice airport for a little while, had some breakfast. Again, delicious food, even for an airport. Then we flew into Paris. We got off the plane, got all of our things through security and customs. And then we took an Uber right to our hotel and we stayed at the Hotel Duquesne Eiffel. And one thing about the Paris taxis is that depending on which area you're going to, it's either like $55 or $65. You just have to know exactly where you're going and know that that's what the price is. Because I do believe that we probably would have been charged more had I not known that that was exactly the fare, what the fare should have been.
So, like, state the fare before the ride with the driver
Yes.
and make it
Yes.
clear. Okay.
Yes. Yes, like double check that this is my expectation and this is what's going to happen.
And
So
could you
that
pay with a
that part was
card or
nice.
did you have to have euros?
No, we paid with a card. We really tried to use credit cards for everything, just with the exchange rates. We did go over each of us with about 300 euros that we did spend here and there, in the gas stations and then tipping and things. But there really wasn't even lots of things to buy. No one really shopped. We did buy, oh, I have these earrings from the glass company. A
I was
lot of
going to ask
people,
if you got something from the glass
yes.
company.
Oh
Cool.
yes. Lots of stuff from the glass company. They got almost all of our money for sure.
Awesome.
So, and there's a funny story about our last 20 euros at the end of our Paris night.
Well, wait, real quick. How did you find the hotel and how did you book it on points? And did you like it? Because I currently need a hotel in Paris and I would like to be able to see the Eiffel Tower from it.
Yes, I heavily researched this. I wanted to have no expectations of actually seeing anything in Paris with the exception of the Eiffel Tower. So I used Chase rewards points and looked up several different hotels that would have an Eiffel Tower view. And we definitely upgraded to the room with the balcony, so I would know that we would have that Eiffel Tower view if the only thing we got to do was go to the hotel. And we loved the hotel. It's very boutique-y. It was very small. Right next door was a little restaurant that we ended up getting our dinner from. I highly recommended the hotel. And it had also a little spa room with like a little pool or I don't think it was a hot tub maybe, but a little pool that you could rent too. We didn't have time for that or I would have looked into that.
So you guys did you walk up to the Eiffel Tower and see it or did
Yes.
you just see it from your balcony? Okay, tell us about what you guys did in Paris.
So we got to the hotel and we changed and freshened up, and then we just hit the ground running. We walked from the hotel to Notre Dame. That was our first stop. And we stopped and had some drinks and a little snack at an outside cafe on the way. And then when we got to Notre Dame, it was very busy. There was a marathon that was wrapping up. So in front of there was very chaotic. So instead of crossing the bridge, we just went down and we walked along the water next to the River Seine. And we walked from there to the Eiffel Tower, just looking at the boats and the water and chatting and, decompressing from the trip. Paris was a much needed break from the chaos of 22 people to just have a decompression for me and my friends on the way home.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like, how far was this walk? Like, I seriously actually need a hotel in Paris. Kind of like you, I have one night. It's a stopover. It's just going to be my husband and I. I want to eat some bougie food, see the Eiffel Tower sparkle at night, and sleep in a comfortable bed because it'll be the night after our overnight flight. And so I'm looking for a hotel that checks those boxes. And we're happy to walk like miles. We won't have our kids. So, how long was this walk?
I'm not a good answer for that because we left the hotel around like 2 o'clock and we didn't arrive to the Eiffel Tower until 7.
Because you just wandered.
Yes, we didn't walk. Well, no, the walk back from from the Eiffel Tower was probably like 15 minutes, and it was next to the park. It
Oh,
felt very safe. It was
okay,
not that
cool.
far.
Cool.
But yes, I had planned our day to just take our time. And then when we arrived at the Eiffel Tower was 5 minutes to 7. And at 7 o'clock is when it's sparkling on the hour. So that whole day worked out perfectly, actually. But again, when we were walking along the water, we took our time. We stopped and had some more drinks and had a little bit of food. And then when we arrived at the Eiffel Tower, we had no plans to stay. We were just going to see it, and then we were going to head back to the hotel room, enjoy it from the balcony, have drinks and food, and just relax for our early-ish flight the next morning. Well, we had so much fun just sitting and talking underneath the Eiffel Tower that we stayed for 2 hours. And in the 2 hours, we had one $20 euro bill left. That's all we had of our euros. And at the base of the Eiffel Tower, there are men selling wine from a 3-gallon bucket. They're like, wine, 40 euros, 40 euros. And this gentleman stops and he's like, wine. And he was like, 40 euros. I'm like, all I have is this one $20 euro. We're leaving tomorrow. Like, this is all I have. So we're expecting to get like a glass of wine or who knows. So he's like, okay. So he takes the 20 euros. He uncorks a bottle of red for my friend and he uncorks a bottle of white for me and leaves us each with a bottle of wine and a glass. So
Oh
then
my
we
gosh.
cheersed our wine and sat for 2 hours under the Eiffel Tower talking and just enjoying our girls' trip together.
What a perfectly magical Parisian moment under the sparkling Eiffel Tower.
Yes.
My gosh, amazing. I love it. That's what I want. I want just very like Parisian night, nothing planned. Just wander and have fun. Were the beds comfortable? That's what I need to know.
We did share a bed in this room, but it was very comfortable. The rooms were small, but again, it was like bougie because it was a boutique hotel. I like a little bit of bouginess on my trips.
Yeah, same.
Well, I will share that we were delayed leaving Paris because that was the day of the jewel heist at the Louvre. So we were delayed.
Seriously?
Yes, we were delayed in Paris another 3 hours at the airport because of that. Well, I
Oh
shouldn't
my
say that it was
gosh.
because of that, but it happened at the exact same time. Our flight was leaving around 9 in the morning, and that was when the heist was happening.
Did you know at the time?
No, we found out right as we were about to board because I had flashed across the TV screens, like the news screens in the terminal. Yeah, we tried. I mean, tried taking a little something home in my suitcase.
Yeah, it was you. I love it. Okay, well, this trip has been absolutely amazing. I have a couple rapid fire questions to ask you, and then we will close it out with the final question. If someone listening is considering a similar Northern Italy itinerary, what is one thing you wish you knew before you went?
I wish I knew to pack lighter. I definitely overpacked and had way too many things I did not need.
Great tip. You were there in October. I think we already touched on this, but how was the weather?
The weather was perfect. Perfect. That was also part of the overpacking because it was so nice that we didn't need the heavier layers that we expected to need in the Dolomites.
Awesome. This is probably going to be hard, but if you could only visit one of the spots you visited again in this year, 2026, where would you go back to first?
I would go to the My Arbor Resort in Brixen.
Amazing. What was the best wine you drank?
Ooh, I couldn't choose. They were all different and delicious in their own ways.
And what was the best food you ate?
Oh, definitely that veggie lasagna or the homemade pasta that we made.
Awesome. Yeah, I feel like you've got to do a homemade pasta making class if you're in Italy.
Yes. The balsamic underneath the tomato sauce just made it. It was so good.
Awesome. Okay, Heather, this has been so fun, but we do need to bring this trip to an end. So I end every episode with the same question. If someone out there is considering this trip, what is it about Northern Italy that would make you say, just book it?
Everything. The sights, the food, the drinks, the people, everything about Northern Italy is 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Thank you so much for joining Trip Tales today, Heather. This was seriously so fun, and now I'm going to be researching Northern Italy.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to share.